Got Scott and Mike on a Wednesday morning. Wow, we need your microphone for you.
Yeah, I was
Jojo.
going to say, you keep turning me off. Like, what's the deal here?
Well, because you're always one-upping me.
Yeah, but it's so easy.
I'm going to start a new feature on Wednesdays. We're going to call it The Morning Insult with Mike Bentz. And you're just going to give me my first one.
Am
okay?
I?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you take a bath today?
That's two.
Oh, okay.
All
Okay.
right. In the studio with us this morning, we want to welcome returning guests. They've actually both been in the radio station before. We have Norm LeBret, from the HR director from the Chewelah Casino.
Mm-hmm. And Norm does everything else, by the way.
Everything. Everything.
He's the proverbial jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he kind of tagged along today because he wanted to come hang out and be cool with Frank Metlow. Welcome, Frank. He's the Planning and Economic Development Director for the tribe, right?
Yes.
All right. Did I get everything right for your titles? Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Now the titles are out of the way.
Right.
Okay.
So now, Frank, you're a local boy, JHS graduate?
I am, class of 88.
All right. You gotta love that.
1988.
I'm surprised how many of us that went to Jenkins High School come back to this area. Have you always lived here? Did you go away, come back, kind of thing?
No. In 1991, I joined the Navy. I had tried logging, went and did logging, and then was working at a local sawmill in Valley that had shut down. And I'm like, well, what am I doing now? So I joined the Navy.
All right.
My father was in the Navy. So kind of followed his footstep. Did 20 years in the Navy and came out and worked for the tribe. Been working there ever since.
Wow, how many years?
20 years in the Navy.
All right. And Norm, how long have you been in the area?
Oh, I was born in Wellpennant, so
Your whole life, huh?
pretty much my life, yeah.
right.
Well, time in the military and, other adventures away from the area, but yeah, I'm here.
All right. And how long have you been working for the tribe?
Well, I worked for them in the 70s. It's one of those things, work for a while, frustrated, leave to come back. Worked for them again in the 2000s and then back in 2010. And I've been pretty stable since 2010.
All right, Frank, so there's lots of stuff happening. Mike, you're more in touch with this because there's so much going on that you have your fingers in with the Creative District and the
Right.
Department of Commerce is our new, from the Department of Washington Department of Commerce, our new, is it New Approaches? Is that the?
New Approaches,
Because
yeah.
at the get-together we had last week, I saw New Visions, and that kind of confused, but it is called New Approaches?
It's called, the program's called New Approaches, but I think one of the things I got to appreciate is through the Carpe, exercise we went through, the Creative District certification, and now the New Approaches that's being put together with the Washington State Department of Commerce. I got to know these guys,
All right,
especially Frank, because Norm and I have known each other for a while now.
Yeah.
And one of the things that jumped out at me, and we talked about this a little earlier on the radio, was you've got this hub called Chewelah with these economic engines surrounding it, and these economic engines have to start complementing or working with each other. And one of the things that I know that Norm's done is he's given me a lot of direction on what direction to go, as far as working with the Spokane Tribe of Indians.
Mm-hmm. And you should point out those drivers for our community. You did earlier, but I think you should point them out for people.
The drivers, as far as entities are concerned locally, are the Chewelah Casino, and then the golf course, Chewelah Golf Course, and then 49 Degrees North. Those are kind of the three things. And as the Creative District came to play, it really became obvious to me that all of these people need to be involved. The involvement of the golf course is predominantly through the chamber, but the casino wanted a voice, we needed the casino to have a voice.
Right.
And then 49 Degrees North. And so that's where I got to appreciate, I guess, the direction the tribe's taken themselves going forward. And the input is invaluable because, you just can't ignore one of those economic engines to begin with. So that's kind of in a nutshell why I invited these guys to be here. And then on top of that, it's no secret out there, there's some things happening with the Spokane Tribe of Indians on a localized basis, and what better person to talk about it than the people that are involved? So, so
I could think of a
you know,
few, but
and they've never said no, by the way. And not everybody says yes every time I talk to them. Now, it may take me 14 times of asking, but, you know, but these guys step right up to the plate and
All
so
right.
do that.
All right. Thank you,
So,
guys.
Okay.
All right. So, first question.
Well, I guess the first question is give us an overview of what direction you think the tribe's going, and then we can get down to specifics of things you can talk about that you think the listening audience should know. So,
All right. So what we're doing out there is we have a comprehensive plan out there that we're at our site here. That's it's long term. It's in phases. It's a pretty aggressive plan. It includes building a new hotel, building a new casino, and eventually doing a retail build out along 395.
Wow.
And those are, as I mentioned, those are the phases. We expect phase 1, which is the hotel. It's just going to be a 70-room hotel. That is going to it'll have a bar, meeting space. It's going to be separate from the casino. We're going to keep the existing casino for the first few years until we are able to do phase 2, which is a new casino build out. We haven't decided if it's going to be connected or not. And then phase 3 would be the retail build out along 395, which that's a longer process. We have, when we build these projects, these large projects, we have to go through environmental reviews and things like that to make sure we're not doing anything detrimental to the environment or the community or anything like that. We expect to be breaking ground on phase 1 in spring of 2020.
Wow.
We're getting through the red tape hurdles, for these projects, and we expect in spring to start build out. So we would love to use local contractors. If anybody wants to be part of that, they can get a hold of the Spokane Tribe, get a hold of our property department, and get on the list. So when we start bidding out these projects, or our
Get in on it.
contractors start bidding for subcontractors, we really want to provide resources and have local contractors be part of this project.
Nice.
That's something that's really important to us. We want to keep everything local as we can.
so if I was a contractor, I assume it's going to be in some kind of request for proposal, a listing of where I can kind of plug in. So how soon? And I mean,
So
I'm curious.
So with planning projects this large, we don't have any solid timelines.
Okay.
Everything's hinged on financing,
Right.
and that sets the marker. That sets all the things you have to do pre-construction
Okay.
and when construction starts. So that's really the marker that sets the schedule. So right now the schedule's just kind of sliding. We know what we have to do.
Okay.
I would expect bidding to start. We'll probably get through financing through this winter,
Okay.
getting through all of that, and maybe early spring we'll start seeing some bidding coming out.
Okay.
Bidding will take a month or two to get through, and then once we start selecting contractors, then we get into that.
So you'll do
construction
some
phase.
kind of publishing when it comes up,
We will.
requesting that.
We
Okay.
will.
All right.
It really helps to contact a tribe and get on that list, though.
Okay. So earlier is better.
That's your advice.
That's my advice.
So is that, Frank, is that how contractors will be able to find information, or they have to go to a website to register for contract information?
I don't know if we put them out on our tribal website or not, and we're also redesigning our tribal website, so we should
Okay.
have a new tribal website by then. That's going to be it's going to be a lot more useful. The tribal website right now, it's got information on it, but it's not
Interactive?
It's not. Yeah, it's not interactive. It's not. It's basic information that never changes. So it's
Right.
not really. Here's what we got. Here's our calendar. Here's what we got going on this month, and here's our construction projects. Here's our things like that.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, I'm going to say a year or maybe a year and a half ago, I was contacted to go through a survey process as far as how the golf course could complement your projects. And of course, and in my opinion, it has to go two ways. It's not just me complimenting you. It's how can I compliment you, me too. And I've been really pleased with the process that's gone through. I mean, it's been a working process trying to figure out what fits and what works, but but I think it's working pretty well.
That's good.
And I know in visiting with you, I think yesterday or earlier, that one of your goals is to figure out how can we take our entity and complement the community as a whole, and bring resources as far as, in my case, selfishly, okay, how do I bring people to the Creative District? How do I, bring people to the economic development side of Chewelah? And I really appreciated that. I mean, to me, it was a pretty rigorous process on the front end. I think I got called and surveyed by 2 or 3 different people, and more than willing to participate. And that says a lot. It just wasn't somebody coming in and just dumping something down and saying, okay, we're here, what do we do next? It was a planning process. So let me back up to the hotel a little bit. I know you said it was a 70-room hotel. And it's going to have some amenities, and one of the amenities that intrigues us is the potential for having like a swimming facility there. Is that going to be in the books, or?
There is a pool planned. It's not what you would think it's not a large pool, like where you could hold swimming lessons and that kind of stuff. It's going to be more of a smaller hotel pool, that I wouldn't say it would be one where you would bring kids and do things like that.
Okay, so it's kind of like a travel type
Right.
like thing you would see.
You guys need to rethink that. I'm thinking water slide.
And you know what? Scott will personally fund that.
Yes.
We have water
and
out
if,
there.
if you understood how much a pool costs
I
in a
do.
commercial facility,
It is
crazy.
ridiculous. You know, a friend that owns a hotel and put in a pool 3 years ago, a couple $100,000. The lift chair that he had to put in for handicapped was like almost $180,000 or something for this lift chair that he put in. He said, so the pool came in 3 years ago. He said the cover on the lift chair had never come off. You know, so people don't think about, oh, it's just a swimming pool. Not only just the cost of the pool, it has to be ADA compliant.
Correct.
And that stuff is all really, really, really expensive, and it shouldn't be. You know, it's because it's like a boat or an RV or, an airplane. It's got something special stamped on it, so they charge more than they should for it. And, it's a tough thing. So I'll back you up on that statement. Pools are a very tough thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we worked a little bit on the hotel, and you talked about it's basically going to be 3 phases over a period of years, whatever that period of years is. And when you get out there 10 years from now, what's your vision? What's the tribe's vision of what it's going to look like and how it's going to work in the local community, and what type of people are you looking at drawing? Those types of things.
Well, we're really looking at supporting local business. I can't say that we may not bring in like a franchise or something. But what I can say is that as we plan our tenants, I'll just call them, when we plan our amenities to this facility, one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to compete with businesses in Chewelah. We want to complement them. We're looking at ways where, like, point of sale systems that allow us to share customers. You talked about how we've been having discussions for about a year and a half now about, and what the tribe what we came up with having these discussions was we don't have to wait until this hotel's built to start working with the businesses in Chewelah. So we've reached out to the ski hill, we've reached out to the golf course, and we're like, we can start cross-marketing now and have those relationships built so we're ready to go when this new facility gets built. And we're looking at these point of sale systems where we could do some type of customer sharing where there's an incentive for the businesses who want to work with the casino. We have something in our, like say the breweries in town, where our bar out at the casino or out at the hotel features rotating taps from their breweries. And we send our customers, when our customers go to the brewery, they receive a small discount or an appetizer, or they could bring a receipt from the brewery out to the casino and they get $10 of free play. It's a way we incentivize the sharing of customers.
Yeah,
and,
it's very simple. In fact, it's exactly what we do at the golf course.
Right.
You know, and I think this coming up will be our third year of trial and error, and I think we've got it pretty well nailed.
Right.
And it's the same thing, you know, anybody that's has a Sun Club membership effectively is allowed discounted play in golf, following what we call our stay and play rates. And then anybody that shows up out at the casino with a receipt they've played golf gets, I think it is a $10 free play.
Free play, yep.
And so, and we're just getting to the point now where it's getting enough traction. We're going to start tracking it. We're trying to figure out, because our point of sale system is nowhere near as dynamic as what you're talking about. So we've got to figure out internally how to take care of that. And I know when I went through the budgeting process for next year, that was one of the line items you look at. Okay, you know, how are we going to offer discounts? Who are we going to offer those discounts to? And unanimously, the marketing committee went to the finance committee, which went to the board, typical, and said, yeah, we want to maintain these relationships. And so then my challenge now is, of course, working with Helen out at the casino, and I think it's Ben, the person who works with her out there now. Right. And make sure the right things are in the right place at the right time, and I've been pleased. You know, it started out really slow, picked up a little bit last year. Now, as we're building our marketing, as far as advertising and things like that, it's easier to get, you know, just the logo in there more than anything else is really all we really want. And the same thing back to you guys. I know Helen has requested the logo and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a great tool. And you know, I'm adamant that if Chewelah is going to become a destination for people to come, they need something to do and some place to stay.
Exactly.
You know, and the something to do, I think we're doing a pretty good job with that, especially given relative size of the community. And the tribe, you know, bringing in the place to stay is going to be kind of the icing on top of the cake.
Yeah, the changes I've seen in Chewelah over the last few decades are amazing. Mayor Canals and the chamber, you guys are doing an amazing job in Chewelah. I mean, the town's beautiful. The downtown looks better than it's ever looked. So.
Do you hear that, Dorothy? He gave you credit.
Well, and you know, I'm kind of the short guy on the stick here. You know, I've only been here 6 years, and just in that 6-year period of time, the transformation's been really dramatic. You're getting a whole different vibe, I guess, internally. It's more of a can-do type thing. And that's why it's so easy to get behind things.
And it's past 5 or 6 years, it's like what Frank said. It really has exploded. The way Chewelah looks now from when we were kids, big difference. And really, I think, even shorten it up, the past 5 years, we've seen a huge transformation. Beautification of the city. You know, that's a lot of work from the chamber and local business owners that bought derelict properties and fixed them up.
Yep, that's good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So what else do you want to brag about?
Well, you know, as we do this development out here, one thing we're looking at is we're not just trying to just meet what's going on now. We're trying to plan for the future. You know, like one thing we're doing, we're looking at putting electric car charging stations at our hotel, a couple of them.
You know, ironically, I don't know if you were in that meeting, but Julia Havens from Washington State Department of Commerce, that was one of the things that...
She was the one that sparked the idea.
She's the one that sparked the idea, yeah.
The pun intended.
Well, when you think about it, you know, now, so having lodging on the site and lodging here in town is going to be kind of a game changer. About 80% of our customers at the Chewelah Casino come from within 40 miles. I don't know if everybody knows that.
Right.
Everybody thinks we have this big influx of people, but we don't. But this hotel will change that. We're looking at bringing down the Canadian traffic, and so they can come down, spend the day in Chewelah, have somewhere to stay, come from Spokane, have somewhere to stay. And you know, when you look at the future of these hybrids and electric cars, and when they need to people, you know, they have what, 300 miles tops.
Mhm.
That's the expensive Tesla.
Right.
Frank's dream car.
You know, when they come from, they'll want to have somewhere where when they come to the property, they want to be able to charge their vehicle.
Right.
You know, if you're coming from up in Canada and you come down, you don't want to come down and be stuck. So we're looking at things like that. We're looking at some cutting-edge technology on our hotel where there's such cool things out there where you could check in on your phone. You can check in on your smartphone. Your smartphone is your door key. You don't even go to the front desk. You just
QR
go up
code
to
your door or
room
whatever. Huh?
and you just
Yeah.
and menus pop up. You're able to order food on your phone. You could sit, like say if you're at the casino gaming, you're sitting there, you can order food. It can be brought to you. They know where you're at. You just, like you said, they have the QR codes on the machines. You pop that in there and they know right where to bring it. There's so much neat technology out there. We're looking at some new point of sale systems where one of our customers will be able to basically come out for the weekend to Chewelah, sit in our hotel, go to a brewery, go to a restaurant, go up and ski, come back, and then at the end, they just pay their bill. They pay one bill.
To
and-
all the
golf.
different
Right.
businesses.
Everybody,
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it flows through one payment system, basically.
Right. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's that vacation mentality.
Kind of
Right.
overcomes
You know?
that challenge you were talking about, Mike.
Yeah, yeah, it's a packaging type
Exactly.
thing. Yeah, and the Canadians, that's a great example, I think, of where the hotel's going to be a godsend for the golf course, because our Canadian traffic dropped off, predominantly, I think, initially because of the discount rate on the dollar, but basically it's come back. I mean, we had more Canadians this year than we've had in the last 3, and I think predominantly. We'd get more if but where are they going to stay? I mean, you've got a limited amount of places you can stay in Chewelah.
Sure.
And then, to add something to do in the evenings or something to do when you're done playing golf or skiing, why not? I mean, you're capturing the whole dollar. You're not letting it go back.
Right, right.
know,
With the airport.
Yeah, and then the airport.
And
Yeah.
being able to shuttle people around a little bit.
Exactly.
These are
Yeah.
the things that we can work on that I think could have a significant improvement.
Yeah, and you just keyed something. I think we were talking about it yesterday, the potential of putting some kind of shuttle system in.
Right. Putting looking at a transportation where someone can go into the brewery and not have to drive back out to their hotel. It's safer for the customers.
Electric shuttles.
It gives the customers more, more options when they come out. There is a 2 or 3 mile gap between, the casino and Chewelah.
Will these be automated little Johnny cabs?
Yes.
I will tell you that technology is getting kind of weird. So I went to Washington, D.C. last week, and when I was in the airport in Minneapolis, St. Paul for a layover, I'm walking behind this kid, and he has his carry-on luggage is following him. He's not holding on to it. It's just following him. It's on wheels.
Really?
It's powered somehow, and I think it was connected to his cell phone. And he looks back every now and then to make sure it's still back there, but his bag is following him through the
Little
airport.
GPS tracker. So
Wow.
I'm like,
That's cool.
I don't know about that. I got a control problem.
my first thought
That
is,
won't.
how much does that bag cost?
Yeah, that's true too. Exactly.
No, I'm a technical geek. That kind of stuff makes me drool.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well,
Wow.
and you brought up the airport, and
Right.
this year we provided them just simply a golf cart from the pilot's lounge over to the restaurant primarily because, the pilots have told me they'll land in Chewelah for 2 things, food and fuel.
Right.
We don't get that many golfers at the golf course, but they love to land here. And so the airport manager basically said, hey, we've been thinking about getting a golf cart. And I said, well, we got a couple spares. Why don't I just provide one? And that little golf cart the wheels ran off it this year.
Nice.
And then I don't think it's any secret. I think Spokane Fuel now is going to do the fuel up at the airport. And so we're going to get fuel. And those two things alone, then if
Yeah, Dorothy unveiled that the last time she was on the air.
here, yeah. And then if the casino or the tribe puts in some kind of shuttle service,
Exactly.
I mean, and even if it needs to be supported by these entities, that's a potential too. So, and I can tell you, my mother-in-law would love to be able to say, you call up and say, I need a ride down to the casino. And more importantly, my wife would even love you more.
There you go.
We love
that. But yeah, I think there's so many exciting things happening, and they're becoming real.
Yes.
And that's what's exciting more than anything else, because I haven't been here that long, but I think, Norm, you made a comment this process started back in 2006.
Yes.
And, it's all good things take time.
It does take time.
And hiccups come into play. And,
A lot of
lot
roadblocks.
of money.
a lot of, yeah. Yeah. And so just the stick-to-itiveness in itself is well worth it. I mean,
Can I ask a tough question?
now he reserves the right to say no.
So I imagine you probably have caught some resistance on this as far as the hotel or concern from existing hotels in Chewelah. And I know you were talking about being sensitive to other businesses, but that's got to be a tough spot. Because we almost need to work, together as a community, along with the tribe, so that as this hotel comes up, we've got some of these other tourism things that could be happening with the Carpe, promoted properly, so that as it happens, the people to stay in it, are coming through the door as well.
Well, that's one of the.
Does that make sense?
It does. And that's one of the reasons for having shuttle service available. So we make it easy for people to access other hotels.
And believe it or not, we have not heard from the hotel owners in town.
Yeah.
We have put out, we originally did our environmental assessment for this project in 2008. Well, that's a long time ago. So we put out last year what they call a supplemental information report, and it was published in the Chewelah paper. And I was surprised that we heard nothing negative back.
Good.
Nothing at all. And I think the demand for lodging in this area is so huge that I don't know if it's going to have a negative effect on them.
It's like when people learn that there's more lodging here, it'll get eaten up just as fast as we have it, maybe.
Exactly.
Right. And we will probably offer a different type of lodging. I don't know how to put this, but
I think
ours will probably be more expensive.
It'll be different price points.
So,
So
so maybe when the young kids who want to go to the ski hill or something, they're on a budget, maybe they stay at the other hotels that are a little lower costs than ours, and give up the amenities that we offer. So
yeah, and I think you can't lose sight of the fact. I think existing wise, there's only like 42 rooms available.
Right.
It's a real limited number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's such an under capacity given the potential that I think there's enough wealth kind of to go around for everybody.
Sure. And our
You
planning
know,
has always been very
so-
conservative.
Right.
It just feels to me like Chewelah is booming, and like
Yes.
taking the cork out of a champagne bottle.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, we did that community rollout of new approaches last week, and Washington State Department of Commerce brought in, I think there were 4, maybe 5 people they brought in to support that, and just visiting with them. One of the issues of the 4, I know at least 2 of them wanted to stay here. And they ended up getting at least one of them stayed at the Inn at Sand Canyon, which is a bread and breakfast, which is an entirely different animal than what you guys are talking about. And then the other one stayed at the Nordleg. And the other 2 elected to go back to Spokane. And I'm thinking, well, why did you even go back to Spokane?
Right.
And then I'm talking to him, and we get done around, 7:30 in the evening. And I'm talking to one of the guys. He says, where I can just go get, a quick bite to eat and a cold beer? Well, that becomes pretty limited at some point in time,
It does.
from that standpoint. And so I just think, I think it's an unfounded concern. that somehow or another, I think it's going to help people. And I've always believed, the old adage that steel sharpens steel. So when competition comes in, if you look at it appropriately, then you're going to raise your game too. And to me, it's good. It's a win-win-win for everybody. It really is.
Okay.
So, but that's my opinion, and what do I know?
And these things have been identified at the county level. I'm the tribal representative on the Tri-County Economic Development District Board of Directors up in Colville, where Mayor Canals is there.
Yeah.
And we've identified lodging in Stevens County as one of the highest priorities for tourism. It's needed.
It's been talked about a lot.
Yeah, for a long time. Almost as long as our hotel. But like you said, Chewelah's booming. We're making great progress. All these projects that we've seen being talked about for so long are happening. Chewelah now has the airport.
Right.
That's been...
And broadband.
Chewelah now has broadband. I feel really bad.
Has a radio
because,
station.
We've been fighting very hard to get broadband onto the reservation. We've had our challenges. We've had with USDA and some grants that
Right.
they gave grants to a company that didn't serve us, which made us ineligible because we were shown as served. We fought that battle. We got that taken care of. Now they come out with a new grant. So our broadband struggle has been real. And I feel bad sometimes because as soon as Charter came to town, now I have 100 megabyte internet at my house in Loon Lake.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
Well, what's funny
For
is
property values, for the
for
values
Loon
of
Lake?
businesses.
Loon Lake went from really when Charter came in there, because if you got Charter services, it was still dial-up in Loon Lake. So when that happened, when you got that, it was really strange to me, just to even the concept of it, that Loon Lake went from just 2 years ago, last year.
Right.
Last year, Loon Lake went from dial-up to broadband all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
That had a huge effect on property value.
Oh, I bet.
I can't
Yeah.
tell you the increases in at least what my assessed value on my home was crazy.
Wow.
Within a 2-year period.
Well, and I know that when you talked to Dorothy, she said she had 3 things she wanted to get accomplished before she retired for the 14th time or whatever. One of them was broadband, another one was the airport, and the last one is the hotel. And I have to give her kudos, too. She's never lost sight of that.
So if we drag our feet, Dorothy will stay longer?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, she was really, really effective in communicating with the tribal government.
Right.
Yeah, so that helped a lot in our ability to make progress.
Good. All
She's
right.
done a lot for the town, and I don't think some people give her fair shake. So there we go. Since you guys were bragging her up, another round of applause for American House. It was really cute at the New Approaches thing. Somebody wrote on our board, the board, you could write down great things about Chewelah, and then once the list this giant sheet of paper got filled, they'd start another one. And one of them said we had a beautiful mayor, and she came up to me and she said, because I'm always giving her kudos on the air, and she goes, "Scott, did you write that?" And I said, "No, but it makes me happy you think I did."
Yeah.
So are we missing anything?
I don't think so. I mean, we're trying to, connect, transportation-wise, we're trying to connect people to Chewelah through, you guys have the Gold Line that runs. We have the Moccasin Express, and we run in all the way into the STA Plaza in Spokane. And we're looking at putting a stop, expanding our services out here to the Chewelah site. Trying to think of what else, the sky's the limit, really. Let's see what happens in the future.
So the way I'm envisioning this is At some point in the future, you'll have a stay and play package for golfing, stay and play package for skiing, stay and play package for recreational opportunities in the Colville National Forest. You're going to have an electric charging station. So, you know, if you've got that
And a
Tesla,
strip mall.
I mean,
You know, the work we're doing at the Creative District, I
Right.
think, is amazing, and we're looking at trying to do some projects with you guys on that, where I think one of our projects we talked about was a path, you know,
Right.
and legal disclaimer that we're not guaranteeing a path.
right.
We're just saying
Yeah, I know. You
something
don't want to
that
get
would
out
be
there.
nice. 'Cause you look at the trending crazes that are happening, like these scooters that everybody's riding around Spokane,
Right.
and you know, and this is nationwide. I just traveled to DC, and they're all over the place.
The
These
scooters?
and
Yeah,
the bikes.
little lime scooters. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't ride them.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, thinking outside the box.
Right.
You know, connecting Chewelah with our property out here is, I think, vital, and I think it's good for fitness. It gives people some paths to go. You know, not everybody like me just wants to walk 30 feet and call it a day.
Right.
Some people, you know, those weird people that like to exercise.
Huh?
And we were talking about that earlier, actually.
Some people want to run miles. I don't know why, but you know, it gives them something. I think it really connects us well too. And you know, I don't envision just some asphalt path. I envision something that has exercise stations along the way, something that has kiosks that talks about the history of the Chewelah
Right.
Valley, and things like that. You know, something that's
There's so
Yeah.
much, too, of that happening. I know the Historical Society, we've recorded, there's 18 buildings in town that are historical towns, and there's a path, and we recorded all the audio for each building to tell the story of it. They're just doing some research into the app that could make that happen, you know, like we're talking with the QR codes on each building and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that stuff, you know, in the works there, too. So there's a whole historical walk in Chewelah that has yet to come to fruition. That is in the works too. So combining those types of things
Exactly,
too could be
right.
very cool. And I've been hearing
Right.
about the path from the park through the the creative
Right.
district into downtown for quite a while. I think that's another one
Well,
of
and-
Dorothy's dreams that she's talked about a lot. So.
Yeah, and I think what Frank's talking about is potentially a path from downtown out to the casino property.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Connecting
know.
with that
And
historical
ride
path you're talking about.
ride your
Yeah,
bike. and
exactly.
stuff, too.
Yeah.
Which I think is a phenomenal idea. I mean, you look at, Spokane's got that, Coeur d'Alene's got
yeah,
that,
Centennial Trail.
Poet Falls, yeah, the Centennial Trail. I know Missoula's got that. And they've built theirs over a long period of time, from basically the entire west end clear out to Bonner, which is outside of town now, 4 or 5 miles. And so, and it gets a lot of, my son lives there, and it gets a lot of traffic. A lot of people love to and it follows the river, which I think we talked a little bit
Right.
about it following the river with historical reference points and things like that.
Sure.
So it's a great idea. And I don't think it's pie in the sky. I think it's just a matter of time, so,
All right.
no, I'm pretty excited to be living here. So
Well, we have a good practice project on the reservation. We just built a 1 mile safe routes to school path from our school campus, which is about a mile outside of town, into our town center. So
Nice.
it's a lot of work. Yeah, I was shocked how much a path cost. Just say that.
Blacktop's
well,
Blacktop's
we're in the
crazy.
process of just doing our little cart pass at the on the golf course because some of them are 40 years old, and I understand the cost thing. Believe me,
You're like, what?
I figured, okay, this is going to be like a 20-year project.
When
It's
when
rock
you
and glue.
yeah when you realistically consider doing it yourself,
Yeah,
it's expensive.
it is. Yeah. Well, and the
How
things
hard-
that go into it. I mean, like we redid a couple of them, this fall, and just getting rid of the asphalt costs money because
Yeah.
it's an environmental issue. Believe it or not. I
Yeah.
mean, luckily there's a place in Colville that recycles it, but you still need to hire a truck. You still need to,
And construction's at a premium right now. The contractors have more jobs now
Oh,
than,
yeah.
than
Yeah.
they get to pick and choose.
Yes.
And getting them to come out to the rural communities
It's really hard.
is hard.
Yeah. I actually just had a meeting yesterday discussing that, and right now we're 2 years out at the golf course getting anything built, and so we're trying to figure out how to build a preferred contractor list, I guess, for lack of a better term, pulling people in from further away. In fact, I know a house is being built up right now where the contractor is bringing in crews and then housing them at a local hotel as they need them. So, instead of relying upon the locals, not because they can't do it, it's just they can't do it because they don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
He'll bring in a plumbing crew, or he's bringing in an electrical crew or a framing crew, the general contractor is.
Wow. They said
Which
that
helps
big
us
article.
hotels too, by the way.
There was that big article on the shortage of skilled trades in Stevens County. So.
Right, exactly.
I had one kind of just dreamy question, and that was you were talking about like Phase 3, obviously way off in the and retail space along Highway 395. What was that kind of envisioned like? What kind of things would be there?
Well, we looked at what the site amenities needed to be there. So we looked at we're not committed. We don't have any
Sure,
kind
a
of
long ways off.
Right.
Just,
kind of
nothing-
signature,
what was the
anything
ideas?
signed that
Yeah.
says, hey, we're going to bring this company out. But, we've had discussions on possible tenants, and what we do is we look at it and we're like, well, what does the community want? And what's not here? And that's how we will pursue the tenants that we want in there. And we look at space for like local artisans, regardless of what maybe they can. It gives them a place to set up shop and start a business.
Right.
Incubate some businesses, some locally owned businesses there that complement the property. Obviously we don't want Tiorama there or something like that. So we just look at what complements the property, what does Chewelah need, what does the area not have, and try to find something that we think we'll be doing some public engagement, some surveying, and find out what does the community want out here.
And I think that builds into the creative district.
Right.
I think the misconception in the creative district is it's a defined boundary, and if you're not within that boundary somehow or another, you're segregated away from it. And that's really not true. It is a defined boundary because the state required that. But probably the best analysis I got actually visiting with the gal in Olympia that's running theirs, she goes, the creative district is nothing more than a glow for the outside businesses that want to pull people in.
Right.
And that really hit it, and that's what we're going to emphasize is as the creative district matures and the tribe builds out at whatever number of years future, that's just part of the creative district as a glow. And forget about the boundaries. That's probably the best thing to do. And you talked about and I think they call them maker spaces or new terminology for me. I had no idea what a maker was, but
There's one right next door.
there's one right there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
I
there's
thought
one.
it was a whiskey.
I know there's one next door. Yeah, but that's really a very new concept to a lot of people. And they're incubators, for small businesses basically. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I think that long range, that's a phenomenal opportunity.
One thing I thought was really awesome that we learned up at the Tri-County Economic Development District was, 5 years ago, the big thing, 10 years ago, was business incubators. And what we're seeing now is we're looking at these shared business spaces, a space where, these really small businesses, there's a lot of internet-based business, where you have computers, printers, all of this stuff for these small entrepreneurs who are just starting out, where they just come in for an hour and sit there, do their ordering, set up their shipping, and then they're
Right.
gone. And they don't have that expense of insurance on a facility, rent on a facility. So, someone with like a photography business or a small arts and craft business. I don't know if we do that here in Chewelah.
It's coming.
It's
Yeah.
coming. Yeah,
There are a couple people working on it, actually.
And
So,
that's how,
yeah.
because you'd be, if you live in the town of Chewelah, you and you run a business, you probably have an internet at home. But if you live out towards Browns Lake or out, up towards a ski hill, and you get away from that connection,
right.
and they're costly. So it's just a great resource for these small businesses and these entrepreneurs to come in, use these shared spaces for a while, and then leave and just have their schedule every day where their orders build up. They come in, download them, go fill them, come
Yeah.
back and ship them, and so it's
It's a great concept. You know, when I first retired, I hired back as a consultant for the company that I worked for a period of years, and the theory behind that was I could do a lot of it online. Well, at that point we didn't have broadband here, so I literally shared a space in Spokane. So I'd go to Spokane once a week
Wow.
to get the things I had to get done as far as webinars and stuff like that. And when the broadband came, it was like, I went from once a month or once a week to once every 2 weeks to once a month to once a quarter because I didn't need to anymore.
Nice.
And I met somebody the other day that's a new resident here, and he actually has an office in Washington, D.C., but works out of Chewelah by choice and hates it. You can relate to this. Go back to his office once a month.
No doubt.
You know, but
Just
the
to make an appearance, right?
Yeah, well, but the broadband internet's allowed him to do that. I mean, and he travels a lot. And Spokane's really a pretty good airport to get in and out of. You know,
It's not bad.
It really is. You know, so
And I think the new most dangerous job is no longer the Alaskan crab fisherman. I think it's an Uber driver in D.C.
it is. Huh?
All right, Frank, have we missed anything that was on your list that you really wanted to bring up? Because we go all over the place around
Right.
here. And give him a second to check that out.
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
we covered it all.
Okay.
I just, in closing, I just want to say that we're excited for the future of Chewelah and the Spokane tribe and our partnership. And we look forward to working with the city, growing together out here. And anytime anybody has any questions, they could get a hold of Mike, or
Right.
you can go on our website and look under the Planning and Economic Development Department. All my contact information is on there. I encourage input from anyone, not just the tribal membership or things like that. I welcome input from anyone in Chewelah. So
When you have these things coming up, don't be afraid to use the radio station too. Let us know and let us make an announce
Yeah.
for you, or pop
Okay,
in
thank
the
you.
morning again and mention that. I know I've talked to Norm before about trying to make that connection. We have we get hot spots with radio stations and where your tower is, and I have a map, and there's certain places that you wouldn't expect to have a red hot spot because they're too far away, and one of them happens to be Wellpennant. So. I don't know if you've checked out the signal there before, but
I haven't.
it should be coming in excellent. So do that for me and drop me a text or an email or something.
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd like to have you back. And I'll bug
Awesome.
you. I don't normally ask people back the next week, but if I see something that's intriguing or you have something you want to get out there, either get a hold of Scott or get a hold of me, and we'll figure out a time slot to get you in.
It's my first time doing anything like this, so it's actually I was really nervous, about.
I kind of tell that when we started. It was easy though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you get nervous when you speak to a room of people.
Right.
When you
Yeah.
get on a radio, you're like,
Yeah,
I don't
there's
say
only
nothing wrong.
25,000 people listening to you right
That's
now.
okay.
There's only 44,000 homes in our coverage area. Okay.
That's right, yeah.
But you guys made it very easy and very comfortable, so
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay.
That's great.
Well-
When I tell people that and they don't believe me, I'll say, "Come on the radio," and they'll be like, "Oh, I could never do that." I'm like, you know what? After a couple minutes, you don't notice, and you didn't, did you? You're talking
Sure.
about something you're passionate about.
Oh, yeah.
And you forget that you're talking into a microphone. It turns into visiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the radio; it's the video part of it, because I was going to show up
Quit
in my
looking at it.
pajamas and just do a radio show. But then I'm like,
wait,
oh,
geez,
man.
Frank.
If you've missed any part of today's interview,
And this
Just
does go
kidding.
worldwide.
Just kidding.
you can see Norm and Frank on YouTube. That's right.
Oh, didn't think about that.
Yeah, I tell people, I go to Cabo every spring or late winter, and there was somebody on Jason Pitt was on the show, and I figured, I wonder how he's doing. So I'm sitting in a bar down in Cabo, and I whip up the internet and I watch the show. Power of technology.
Yeah.
One of our DJs came back from vacation. He's one of our older DJs, and he comes around. And he is very technologically unadvanced, and he comes running in and he goes, "Did you know we're on Alexa?" And he goes, "I was in Texas and my buddy said, come over and check this out." And they walked over to the Alexa puck, and he said he bent over and knelt down to the puck and said, "Alexa, play KCHW." And he goes, "And we just came on."
That's right. It works really, really well. It
So,
does.
it does.
Yeah.
so I did a promo, and I used that line, "Alexa," and I say it a little extra loud in the promo, in hopes that I would trip somebody's Alexa, and I've gotten 3
There
phone
you
calls
go.
now.
Awesome.
That goes and he said, all of a sudden it's playing out of the clock radio, and it's playing out of Alexa, and I was
Yeah,
like,
but I've
yes.
tried to tell Alexa to do something while Loretta's listening to it, and it won't listen to me.
Nice.
It's got to be turned off before it'll
Yeah, I have a
listen.
wife like that.
My wife and my son are into that technology, so
Right.
I have Alexa, and Alexa turns on my lights, tunes my TV to
Oh, you're
whatever.
way ahead of me.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, so that's an exercise issue. You can get up and go hit the light switch. You know.
All right. Once again, thank you guys for coming in,
Thank you.
representing the casino and the tribe, Norm LeBret and Frank Metlow. Big round of applause for you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to
All
be
right.
here.
All right, it's KCHW. We are running out of time, Mike.
We
All right.
are.
We are. We're coming up on 9 o'clock. You got time to stick around? We'll do a little
I can do
community
that.
calendar and a little
You
weather.
bet. Yep,
All right.
we can do that.
All right, songs
Okay.
for you, and we will be back in just a few. Right now, it's a simple plan, and it's Singing in the Rain.